Happy Monday, everybody. We are live. Just double checking our settings, making sure we're good here. Um, we've been at this now for a little bit, trying to get everything going. But today we are going to go from start to finish on how to set up our Biosera machine. So we're gonna actually rewind. So I know you've been watching the last week. We've been working on it. Had some issues last week when we tried the first day, and then we did the second day, and then we stopped right before we got to the ROMs. So we're just gonna do a quick recap and then go into everything else you need to do to set up. Now, like I said before, we will not show you how to download ROMs, and we will not show you how to download BIOS files. Reason being is we're not supposed to. However, I'm pretty sure if you do your due diligence, if you're already researching how to set up a retro machine, you know how to look for those files. Google. Sorry. I'm sorry. I think I'm getting something in my. It's been a long weekend. I think I'm coming down with something. But anyway, we're gonna get right into it because I don't want to, run into any more issues. So we're going to get started. Just give me 1 second here. Let me shut this down here. All right. And like I said, while we're here, we'll give a quick recap of everything that we did over the weekend, and we'll talk about our goals for the week. So welcome again. This is the Alpha Esports Technology YouTube and Twitch or LinkedIn, wherever you're watching. We are live from the Alpha Esports Technology Center. It's a little dead today, Monday. Esports season is wrapping up for Scholastic Esports. Congratulations to the Alpha Esports Technology Wolfpack duos team, where we competed in the Amateur Esports Association tournament last weekend or Saturday, starting with the last chance qualifiers and then heading into the the postseason match. It looks like I have to let them know, but we did make top 10, and I'm super proud of the team. I'm looking to see. Not sure if we've heard anything yet about invitations to the national tournament, but that's what we're basically playing for. We're playing for the top spot, and then also looking to uh, qualify for the invitational. I think later on next month. So looks like the results are in. We did not get the ultimate win, even though I feel like. Oh no, that was they didn't count the. I see what's happened. I see what happened. They didn't count the LCQ stats in there. Well, anyway, like I said, congratulations to the York Academy Fortniters, who end up winning the ultimate prize of first place in that tournament we played over the weekend. Followed by North Carolina Esports Academy, who honestly swept the next three spots. So, like I said, it was a pretty tight race. Actually, now that I'm looking, I mean, 3 points separate. No, 4 points separate fifth to 10th. So I mean, it was a close. Obviously it was a hard fought match. Like I said, congratulations. I'm super proud of my team. I'll even probably show some pictures from afterwards, after the event, and just kind of getting the kids together and now giving them a chance to kind of wind down and stuff. They definitely earned it. Great see. I just can't. I can't speak enough about how proud of them I am. So, but like I said, we're here for Biosera. So we're gonna start from the top, okay? So what we're going to do today is we are going to set up Biosera on one of our mini PCs. Now, typically you can do this with a Raspberry Pi or another setup, and we probably will do a Raspberry Pi. As a matter of fact, let us know in the comment section if you want to see how to set up a retro gaming machine on a Raspberry Pi. We've done this before. And I'm really, now that I've kind of gotten to get myself familiarized with Biosera, I'm really enjoying it, and I think I might even change over my existing RetroPie machine to use the Biosera operating system. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up Biosera on our mini PC. We're going to boot into Biosera, and then we're going to set everything up. We're going to set up the audio. We're going to get ourselves on the internet, and then we're going to go through the process of transferring the BIOS and ROM files after they were downloaded. Like I said, we cannot show you how to download. And again, forgive me, I'm just a little under the weather. Google. But you'll be able to find how to download or where to download BIOS and ROM files if if you search enough. Google. Sorry, it's just that cough. So let's just look at our checklist again. So the checklist we have is we're going to go ahead and download Biosera from Biosera.org. Remember, Biosera is for those who are watching the first time, I'm not going to say remember. Biosera is a Linux distribution that uh, houses several retro emulators. So systems like the Atari, ColecoVision, and Television, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the original Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, the Sega Saturn, the Sega Dreamcast, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Xbox. There are several different emulators on this with this operating system. And that will allow you to play old games. Now, if you already own the games and then you can just kind of download the ROMs from your games and then transfer them over, that's great. That's what's recommended. Again, that's why we can't going into showing how to download. And we own all of the ROMs, so we've backed up our ROMs from our previous systems. Again, we have been playing video games for a very, very long time. So we'll be going through the process of transferring some of those files over. Okay. Um, right now, I know the list shows that we're going all the way up to PS1, PS2, GameCube, but we're probably going to do these at a later date. So we'll move that down and we'll stay here. So when we're done, we'll have games from several of these systems here. Okay. So like I said, so we're going to download Biosera from Biosera.org. We're going to download a tool called Balina Etcher, which will allow us to boot to Biosera from a USB so that we can install it. And then we'll install Biosera from the USB to our mini PC. Then we'll go ahead and make sure Biosera is set up, get it looking pretty, and setting up the emulators. And then last but not least, we will transfer some BIOS files, and we'll show you how to make sure your controllers are mapped and how to make sure you have multiplayer access on these systems. Remember what I was mentioning before? I mentioned before. I have to stop saying remember. We are hosting an event on the 17th of May. So it's an open house event. And if you are local, you'll be able to actually come and check out this system live. The goal is to have it set up at least and ready to go. We probably won't get to doing the ultimate goal of setting up a cabinet for it or getting the arcade controller configs. We're going to build our own arcade sticks rather than buying an expensive joystick. We'll probably build out our own similar to a setup I have at home. looking to try to get the parts. Hopefully, we'll get the parts in. If we can, then great. But if you are in town on the 17th, if you're in the Suwannee area, you want to come check us out. We are located at 1300 Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, Suite 3109. We're right next to the computer repair shop here in Suwannee. So you'll be able to see the system, try it out for yourself. If you have any questions, I will be there talking about the events that we have coming up, like our classes to build retro gaming machines, our STEM classes, our cybersecurity offerings that we'll be hosting in the fall, as well as obviously our esports and STEM camps for the summer. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before actually, one last thing before we do that, if this is your first time here, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications. And oh, I just jumped in. Sorry. So let's go ahead and jump into Biosera. So now we'll go here. We'll go back here. So what you want to do is you want to go to biosera.org/download, or go to biosera.org here, and it gives you a trailer, gives you some information about Biosera. You see here it says Biosera Linux is an open source, so that means it's free retro gaming distribution. And then if you want to download it, you would just go ahead and click here, download, and then you would pick your platform. So again, like I said, we will probably show you how to use it on a Raspberry Pi 4 or Raspberry Pi 5 in the future. But we're going to go ahead and click the download link here for PC. Now, like I said, we've downloaded this already, so we don't need to go ahead and download another file. But as you can see, you can pretty much run Biosera on several different platforms, operating devices, hardware, and things like that. So we have so that's the first part. So we have Biosera downloaded, right? So we downloaded Biosera. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to download a tool called Balina Etcher. And what Balina Etcher allows you to do is flash operating system images to your SD card or your USB drive. And it does. And the reason why we need this is because we're going to boot from our USB drive. We're going to install Biosera into our USB drive and then boot from that drive to our retro machine PC and install Biosera. So we're going to go ahead and just click the download button for that. So and then again, like I said, we already have that installed. Now, if for some reason, like we mentioned last week, you're having issues with Balina Etcher, because we had some issues last week, there's another tool called Rufus. And Rufus does the same thing. It doesn't look as pretty as Balina Etcher. I'll actually put them side by side so you can see the difference between Balina Etcher and Rufus, and then I'll explain the differences between the two. So we have so let's start with Balina Etcher. Okay. And then let's also bring up Rufus. And we'll have Rufus right here. So we have Balina Etcher on the left, and then we have Rufus here on the right. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our USB that we have right here, and we're going to plug that into our machine. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move that here. It's actually, give me 1 second. I'm looking for something. This desk is crazy, but we're going to go ahead and get that set up. I'm just looking I see some parents looking like they're probably going to walk in here, so. All right. All right, so let me just move over. I dropped it. Sorry, y'all. It's gonna be one. It looks like it's gonna be one of them days. All right, so we have. Let me see if this is the right drive. Oh, this is actually our our ROM. So that is not the right drive. So those are we'll use that later. This is the drive for our ROMs. So let's not forget those. That's going to be important. Oh, come on. Come on. Got it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and drop this real quick, go into our full screen so you can see everything here. All right, so now if we bring up our drive, and we'll just move it over. So what we're going to do is, if you look here, it says we need to flash from a file, and then we need to select our target, and then we'll hit flash. So the file that we're going to flash from is going to be our Biosera image that we downloaded. So you see there, Biosera. Then our target is going to look for our USB drive that we put in there earlier, and then we'll select that. And then when we're ready, we'll hit flash. Now, if you needed to use Rufus, you'll see Rufus already auto-populated your device. So the device that Rufus is pointing to is the same thing that you point to here. So this mass storage device, and then the boot selection, it says disk or ISO image, and this is please select. You'll click select, and then the same thing. You'll just click here for Biosera, and you'll see that that's our Biosera image file. And then if you need to have any advanced things, but you don't need to worry about that. And then when you're done and when you're ready, you would just go ahead and click start. Now, when you click start, whether you do it from here, whether you click flash on Balina Etcher or you click start from Rufus, what's going to happen is it's going to wipe any of your, it's going to wipe any that is on that existing USB. So you want to make sure you are extremely careful and that you know exactly what's on that USB prior to wiping it. You might have something important, or you might have something that you want to keep. Oh, why are we stuck? So, give me 1 second, y'all. Got to troubleshoot on the spot. And we're back. Hi, everybody. So, but now we're missing. All right, that's not important. So we went ahead and we flashed our image, and then when we're done, we would move this here, right? So this is the USB with Biosera on here, and we'll plug it into our mini PC. Now, if you need to see what the mini PC looks like, give me 1 second here. Make sure it doesn't get too crazy, but we'll go ahead and look that. See, that's what I was trying to avoid. But this is our mini PC. Molly, yes, this will show up on YouTube later on this week. So, but this is the PC that we're using. Okay, so there you go. Let me bring it up on the big screen, so you'll see here. Actually, why is my... Oh, that's why. Duh. Sorry. So this is our mini PC here. Okay. I'll put a link in the description for the mini PCs that we used. There are several that you can choose from. Now, just give me 1 second because I need to fix what I just dropped. And we're good. So let's make sure everything is turned on here because we're about to get ready to boot. So what we're going to do when we boot into Biosera the first time, we're going to need to make some changes. So I'm going to switch over to my... Still getting used to this new setup. Sorry, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and turn on our PC, but then we're gonna quickly press the delete button, and now that should bring up. That's not what you should see. Oh, I love, love, love live demonstrations. So what we did here, now you should be able to hear me. What we did here is we booted into the BIOS by quickly pressing the delete button on our keyboard when we booted up our mini PC. So I probably should have led with that. You're going to need to make sure you have a USB keyboard. You're going to want to make sure you have a USB keyboard and a USB controller for what's next. So I'll just show you. I have a USB Xbox controller right here that we're going to be using. And then we have our USB keyboard and USB mouse. So here's our keyboard here. So just a regular old keyboard. And I know my ads are in the way, but there's our keyboard. And we have a regular mouse. So let's go ahead and we go back. And then what we're going to do is we're going to... What's going on, Ty? There's not much you really need to worry about in the BIOS except for the boot order. So when you go to the boot order, you want to make sure that the boot order is set to USB device first. So we'll go ahead and switch so that our USB device would be the drive that we're going to boot into. Hey, what's going on, Jose? From all the way from Brazil. I appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe if you are. And if you have any questions, just let me know. So you want to make sure you boot to the USB device the very first time you set up Biosera. And then once you do that, I'm going to go ahead and come back over here. Once you do that, you want to make sure you hit F4 and you're going to make sure you're saving your configuration and then exiting. And then you can go ahead and hit yes. Then your computer is going to reboot. And then once it reboots, make sure it reboots properly. Ty, weren't you just... I feel like you said you were working on something last week. Okay. So now, just because I want to make sure the screen loads up properly. Okay. Don't worry, y'all. Give me 1 second. Okay. So now we're back So now we booted into Biosera the first time. So we're here now. So as you can see, we booted into Biosera, and what we did was we plugged up our controller. So we went ahead and plugged up the controller as well as the keyboard. And the reason being is we're going to need the controller to get through some of the next set of configurations. So here we have our Biosera screen. We're going to go ahead and hit the start button, and what we're going to need to do first is go to controller settings and then go to controller mapping. It's going to ask to map it's going to ask to hold down the button. So as you can see, you hold the A button and it kind of identifies the USB controller you have. And then you just want to go ahead and map your buttons. So we're going to hit so A, B, Y, X, and we have our start button. And now for our select button, we'll do select, but then we'll do our D-pad up, down, left, right. Then you have your left shoulder or left bumper, same thing, right shoulder or right bumper. Then you have your left analog up, left analog left. Then you have the same thing, right analog up, right analog left, left trigger, right trigger, and then we're going to press the buttons here. And then for the hotkey, I'm going to use the screen capture button for my hotkey. And when I'm done, you're going to go ahead and hit OK. And now you'll have, oh, hold on, Ty. Let me read your comment real quick. You said you're still on the bug bounty and you're expanding your enumeration. Okay. Hey, whatever, like I said, whatever works, man. Like I said, I've been all over. I'm writing documentation currently for the day job. All right, so now we have. Hold on, y'all. So, all right, so now we'll go back to our machine. Okay, so now we can move around. So now we can move around. As you can see, there are some consoles that are already set up, but when you actually go look into the consoles, you'll see that that's a little ahead of time. But when you look into the consoles, you'll see there's some stuff here. These are the open source games that kind of came with it, and we're going to go through the process of getting that done. But before we do that, there's a couple other things we need to do. One, we need to go into our system settings, and we need to make some changes to our system settings. So first, you need to change your time zone. So we're gonna go ahead and change the time zone so that we're getting right time, at least. Trying to think it's okay, so you're jumping in with Postman and reading docs. So did you make sure you are proxying Postman to Burp Suite so that you'll also be able to do your Burp Suite testing? All right, so we have Chicago. So Ty, I'm actually not using a Raspberry Pi for this. I'm using a mini PC. I'll put it in the description when this goes up as a video. So here we go. We want to set our time zone to New York. Show the 12-hour instead of the 12-hour format instead of international. Power saving format, we can leave that the same. We don't need to mess with the Kodi settings. Video mode. So video mode has an audio, but I have it auto, but I have it set to the maximum output. Now you'll be able to play most games in with the maximum output. However, some games when you get to the more powerful consoles like the Nintendo, GameCube, Xbox 360, PlayStation 2, stuff like that, you'll start to notice that there's some screen ripping and things like that. So you might have to change the settings there. But like I said, we're not, for the sake of this today, we're not actually going to be downloading anything from there. For audio output, you want to make sure you have it set to HDMI. Otherwise, you're not going to get much sound. Audio profile, you can kind of leave that the same. Splash setting, overclock, I usually leave all of that the same. And then we'll just hit back. And then shortly after that, you should start hearing some music coming from Biosera or from the operating system. The next thing you want to do is in your system setting. It's not system settings, is it? It is. You want to go to your network settings. And now here we already have an IP address, but because I set that up already. But you want to go ahead and find your SSID and put that in, and then put your Wi-Fi key in as well. And then you might need to reboot once or twice after this, but you want to make sure that you're connected to the internet, and that's going to be important because you're going to need that for when you do this next step. So the next thing we want to do is, I want to say again, I think it's in system settings. Again, I'm still getting used to it. Okay, here we go. So yes, so down here in system settings, you want to go to the storage section and you want to install. You want to install on a new disk. So remember, we're with our USB right now. So this is all done from USB. So once you reboot a couple times, you're gonna have to boot again from the USB into Biosera, and then you're gonna want to transfer that from you want to install Biosera from the USB to your hard drive that you have installed on your machine. So you'll go ahead and hit install on new disk. It's going to ask you for the target device. You will hit select. Our target device is already used, but you want to make sure that there's target architecture. And then it's going to ask you, are you sure? And then you will click yes, because what's going to end up happening is when you do that, we're not going to do it, but when you do that, it's going to do the same thing that happened when we set up the bootable USB. It's going to wipe that drive. So for example, last week when we first started going through this video, creating this series, the PC was a Windows machine. And when we moved Biosera over, we deleted the operating system from Windows and then installed Biosera. So you want to make sure that either you have a different drive, another hard drive or SSD that's in your PC, if you don't want to wipe that drive that has like Windows on it or anything like that, or just make sure you have everything backed up. We went ahead and decided to just wipe the drive because we're not going to be using this for anything else. And I'm not sure if you can hear it now, but the music started to kick in. So let's go back. So now once that's done, once you do that, it's going to go through the process of installing. We'll show that when we put all the pieces together. And now, like I said, now we have our network settings. We have everything moved over to our existing hard drive, so we no longer need that USB. Here you want to see if there's any updates or anything like that. Here you'll also look to see if there's any themes or anything that you want to install. We'll get to that in a second, but you also want to go ahead and see if you want to check for any updates. You want to make sure that the updates are stable. I don't usually mess with anything outside of a stable update, because if obviously the opposite of stable is unstable or stability is instability, and I don't want to do that. Then you'll just go ahead and click update. It's gonna check. There won't be any updates available for me because we've kind of went through the updates previously. And now we'll go ahead and go back. And now we are ready for the fun stuff. Or should I call it the fun stuff? Yeah, we'll call it the fun stuff. Now, like I said before, we cannot show you where to download BIOS and ROM files. But if you're here looking to set up a retro gaming machine, I'm pretty sure whatever research you've done is the same research you can do to find that information. And again, I just have this cold in my chest, even though it's like 80 degrees outside. But Google, Google, Google. Sorry. But like I said, we can't tell you where to find the files. All right. Now, before you go ahead and install anything, I want to point you to this wiki. So Biosera has a wiki, and it gives you a lot of information. Some information that is super important for you is the BIOS information. Now, in order to run these emulators, the emulators need the correct BIOS information for them to run. So if you need BIOS information, you can go here, go to emulators and ports, and then go to all systems. And now here it'll give you some information here. So for example, let's say we want to install a Super Nintendo, right? So we'll look for SNES. So there's SNES there. I think there's another one. Here we go. So we click this for SNES, and it gives you all the information here. But if you look, it says that there's no actual the Biosera doesn't need a BIOS, so we don't actually need to go ahead and download a BIOS for that. But let's look at another system. Let's look at the Sega Dreamcast. Right, so let's go ahead and let's look up a Sega Dreamcast. So Sega Dreamcast gives you information here. And now if you look at the BIOS, here's some information that you need, right? So it gives you a lot of information, including the file name, if you were to have to look for the BIOS, because we can't tell you. But you also can get this MD5 checksum to find the hash, to make sure that the hash matches for that BIOS file, and make sure you're not downloading anything that is pretending to be a BIOS file and might be something malicious. Again, always check your hashes, always check your sources. That's your cybersecurity tip of the day. But here are the two main BIOS files, and then if you have any alternative BIOS files, here are the MD5 checksums for that information as well. They also give you a little bit of information on the type of emulators that can run Dreamcast games. So the LibRetro Flycast or Redream, those are some popular emulators. And then it tells you the proper format for ROM files would be the CHD files. Now you'll see some that says GDI or .bin, but they usually say the recommended format is the CHD. So again, any emulator that you plan on using, again, I would use this list here to go through whatever ones you're looking for. So for example, I have a few arcade games. I like the old beat 'em up style games like the X-Men and the Ninja Turtle stuff. So I have a multiple arcade machine emulator, or MAME. So I would click MAME, and I would look at the information to see if there's any BIOS information. Now, based on the ROM set type, that varies, right? But I would want to make sure I check that. I would make sure if I'm using Final Burn Neo, Is there any information there that I would need to get? So you want to make sure, again, this is your retro gaming station, and you want to make sure that it runs smoothly. You want to make sure that you're not downloading things from nefarious sources that can cause any issues to your machine or your network. Because things can happen. So you want to make sure you're getting the proper information. Okay. Let's so again. So I have MAME, Final Burn Neo, Atari 2600. If I need to get information there. Now, what I like about Biosera is Biosera already seems to have a lot of the BIOS information already saved in their operating system. So that's really cool. But if you needed to, right, for the old Sega Master System here, right? If you needed to, this is where you could use this information to help you on your search, um, to get that information, right? Nintendo GameCube. So here's the BIOS. Here's the MD5 checksums for that as well. Okay, and you want to make sure, again, this is European BIOS, Japanese BIOS, or American BIOS files. You want to make sure you have those there. So after you look up your BIOS information for your systems and you searched for them, because we can't tell you where to get it, Google, but you have your BIOS information, where would you go to install that? Well, the next thing you would do is you would go back here to our system, and now you would make sure this is where we're going to switch from controller to keyboard, because you're going to want to hit the F1 button. And now when you hit the F1 button, it's going to bring up the file system for the Biosera operating system. And what you're going to want to pay attention to is there's going to be two sections you're going to want to pay attention to. You want to pay attention to the one that says BIOS, and you want to pay attention to the one that says ROMs, right? Now, obviously, if there's other things that you want, like if you want to add music files or anything like that, or if you have any game saves, that's fine too. But for the setup, we're going to want to know where the BIOS, how to get to the BIOS folder, and how to get to the ROMs folder. So when you go to the BIOS folder, here is a list of all the BIOS files or folders for some of the operating system, for the emulators that we have, right? So you have your Atari 5200, you have Atari 7800, you have your Amiga. Let's look. There's a Sega Dreamcast one in here. There's Dolphin. I think that's for the Wii system. Here's another Sega Dreamcast one. And again, as you can see, there you have some BIOS files in here. But if you needed to move your BIOS files, all you would do is, actually, I'll show you real quick. We'll plug in a USB here. So if you see here, let's no label, right? These look like ROMs. Yep, these are ROMs. Well, we'll get back to that. Those are ROMs. Sorry, guys. We're jumping ahead, but basically, let's say for example, for some reason, if we needed to, because I know we have, nope, that's 2600. Basically, what you would want to do is you would find your BIOS, wherever your BIOS files were. You would right click, you would hit copy, and then you would go to your BIOS and you would find the appropriate BIOS file. So we went from, let's just go through this real quick. Let's say Atari 7800, right? Actually, and I actually think this might be a BIOS file, but we'll go there and then we'll go into our ROMs folder, 7800, and then we would just hit paste. Okay? And then we would paste that information there. Okay? So So that's what you want to do if you have for your BIOS files. Now, if we wanted to do the same, and now with our ROM files, we would want to make sure we did the same thing. Now, as you can see, every emulator has their own respective folder. You want to make sure that they are where they need to, where they're supposed to be, because you don't want to put any and you don't want to put any BIOS files or any ROM files in the wrong category or in the wrong folders, because that can be very problematic. Okay. So again, we have our BIOS files. Let's look at our Sega Dreamcast. We have our BIOS files here. So remember, we saw the boot.bin files from earlier. And again, we verified that our hashes and everything look the same. So that's where we would put our BIOS information. Now, our ROM information is very similar. It's the same process. You want to make sure that again you own your ROMs. You want to make sure that you own your ROMs, that they are from a trusted source. You know where they're from. And again, we can't show you how to download the ROMs because we can't do that. But we'll show you how to copy some. So here we have another USB drive with some ROMs, and we'll go through the process of downloading, or not downloading, we're not uploading them to our Biosera file. So we'll come here and let's just back up real quick. So we're in our folder here. You'll see we have our boot file bin. Oh, I think we went too far. Well, we want to go to our ROMs folder, and as you can see, there are a ton of folders. But you want to make sure you're installing, like the BIOS files, you want to make sure you're installing the right ROM information into the right emulator. So if we look at our USB, you'll see we have some folders here. There's a Neo Geo folder. This is the Sega. I know it doesn't say it, but this is our Sega Genesis, or our Sega. I forgot what it's called. What is it? What is it called? In Is it the Master System? I think it's the Master System, or Mega Drive. I'm sorry. So the Sega Genesis is also known as the Sega Mega Drive. So these are these are some Sega games here, and then these here are actually Super Nintendo games, and we just unfortunately weren't able to put them in proper folders in a proper folder. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy these games here. We're going to go to our ROMs, and we're going to search for Super Nintendo or SNES, which is right here. And we'll go ahead and you see them there, and then we'll just go ahead and click paste. And it looks like there are some that are duplicates, so we don't want duplicates. So we'll just go ahead and skip. And then the ones that we do have will get pasted in. Okay? And now we'll do the same thing. We'll take our Sega Mega Drive or Sega Genesis, and we'll copy the ROMs. And then we'll look for Mega Drive right here. And we'll go ahead and hit paste. And now that's going to take a little bit of time. But while we're at it, we'll just go ahead and we'll grab our Neo Geo files here, and we'll hit copy, and then we'll go over here and we'll look for Neo Geo, and we'll hit paste. And like I said, you'll see it doesn't take too long. Again, older games don't take up a lot of memory like current games, right? Like I hate to again be that old guy who's like back in my day, but I mean you have games here that are like maybe 2 to 4 megabytes. 8 megabytes is it was a massive game for some games, for some older operating systems or some older gaming systems. And now you have games like Fortnite and Warzone that are like 75 to 100 gigabyte downloads. It's crazy. So anyway, we went ahead and we downloaded all of that. And now we want to go ahead and close the window. So now that we close the window, we want to go back to our controller. We're going to hit the start button, and then we're going to go to game settings, and we're going to update our game list. And now when you update your game list, you'll see that new systems have now populated in your collections menu. Okay, now let's just go ahead. Now, again, for the sake of the video, we didn't show copying and pasting all of our games, but let's just look at some, right? We have our Atari, we have our 7800, Commodore 64, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advance, right? Sega Mega Drive. So here you'll see the Sega Mega Drive or the Sega Genesis. There are a bunch of games here, but there's no information about these games. So the next thing we want to do is we want to make it pretty. So there's a couple things we're going to do. First, we're going to get scraper information and scrape the internet for the game information to get like the box art, maybe the instruction manual, even some fan art if we want. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the theme of our system so it looks a lot better. Okay. Now, I mean, I don't mind this one, but there's definitely some better ones that are out there. So we'll go ahead and let's start with this. We'll hit start. And then we're going to go down here. Now, again, you're going to want to make sure that you have your internet set up. So you want to make sure that you're connected to the internet. You have an IP address. Now, you want to go ahead and you want to go to Scraper. And now, for Scraper, there's a few resources you can scrape from. You have the HFSDB. You have the arcade database. But then you have this one called Screen Scraper. And then what you can do with Screen Scraper is you need to have a membership to Screen Scraper. So I'll just show you. If you go to the Screen Scraper website here, you can create a username and password, or you can hit register and then create a username and password. Okay, we already created an account. Here's what I will say, just from a cybersecurity standpoint. If you have I don't want to call it a burner account, but if you have like a spam email, right? So for example, you have your email address that all your emails go to, but then you might have an email address for if you want to download if you want to download things and you don't want to be solicited by the company or whatever, you have a spam email account. Use that account. Use a secondary account that that's not in direct contact with your main information. That's another piece of advice there. But you want to go ahead and create that account if you want, if you choose to. I use it because it seems to be very accurate and and the best as far as what we're looking for. And then in the scraper settings, you could change. You have your image source. So if you want to do your box art, you could do 2D art or 3D source. The logo source, however you want to do it. I don't really have a preference there. I'll just put marquee. Preferred region is the U.S. If you need to overwrite any names to give it the right titles. If you want to do any fan art, anything like that, the back side of the box, like the old box, it'll give you the instruction manuals. If you have the pad to key settings, So it'll tell you how to map it. And then here you'll see we have our username and password here. So then we'll just go ahead and we will ignore recently scraped games because we did some scraping before, because this process does take a while. And for the systems, we will go ahead and let's just focus on what we just downloaded. So we downloaded some, so we had some Super Nintendo. We have some Mega Drive. And we did some Neo Geo for now, right? We don't need anything else. Okay, so we have all of that. Okay, so we have our 3, and now we'll just go ahead and hit scrape now. And then what's going to end up happening is we're going to get an error message right now. Live demonstrations are always fun. So here, let's try this. Let's not use Screen Scraper. Let's use HFSDB, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll go start it from there, and we'll select that, and we'll select our Mega Drive, and we'll select our Super Nintendo. Okay, and now we'll scrape. And now you'll see in the top right-hand corner, it's going to give you an update of stuff that's being scraped. Now, this is going to take a while, so we're not going to sit here and wait for this to be done. But what I will show you is I'll show you what it looks like when it is done scraping. So let's look at some of our arcade files. So here you'll see we have 2-on-2 Open Ice, right? And what we and if you look, if you sit for a while, it'll actually give you a quick demo of the game. Bad Dudes, which was a fun game when I was growing up. Battletoads, the Battletoads arcade game. Bubble Bobble 2. Bubble Bobble was always a fun game for me as well. We're a little ahead. We're a little ahead. Let's see. Capcom versus SNK. Captain America versus Captain America and the Avengers. So this is an old beat 'em up arcade game. There's a couple Dragon Ball Z games, as you can see. Final Fight, Ghouls and Ghosts, Gauntlet Legends, Galaga. So as you can see, there's a bunch of different games here. Golden Axe. There's a bunch to choose from. Okay, NBA Hang Time. So it looks good, right? I mean, it doesn't look bad, but we want to go ahead and change it up a little bit, right? I want to give it a better feel. So what the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go into our user interface settings, and if you look, there's a theme setting, right? Now you want to change the appearance. You want to change the theme, but when it first basically gets set up, when you first set up Biosera, there aren't too many themes. You just have this basic carbon theme. So if we want to get more themes, we're gonna want to have to download that. So again, you want to make sure you're connected to the internet. And then you want to go to updates and downloads. And now you'll have your content downloader, your themes, and then the bezel project. Now, content downloader is if you wanted to download any other open source games. I'll just show you really quick. We're not going to install any, but I'll just show you. Right, so here are some information for different content. Right, so you have games for the Atari 2600. You have the bezel stuff, right? And these, like I said, these are all just Commodore 64, Sega Dreamcast, right? And again, these are games that were made by the community. They're open source, meaning they're free. So these are games that people have made using these different platforms. Okay, Nintendo DS, Nintendo, the original OG Nintendo, the Nintendo Entertainment System. So if you wanted to go ahead and support some of the independent creators, this would be the place to download that information. Oh yeah, Ty. Bad dudes. Like I spent a lot of money at the corner store at the bodega by my grandmother's house when they put Bad Dudes in there. That corner store is where I was introduced to Bad Dudes, Street Fighter 2. So again, I do it like just gaming plays a certain a so much. Gaming has played such a part in my life, and it just kind of brings back those memories. Now themes. Themes here again. These are all different themes. They have Star Wars themes. They have Touch of Glass. So these are all themes that if you want to change up the look and feel of your Biosera machine, you can. Right? You have your arcade planet here. It's totally up to you. I would pay attention to the ratings and stuff like that as well, just to kind of make sure that you're not downloading a faulty theme or a theme that's like trash. Yep, well, yeah, Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat, yeah, oh yeah. I used to go. So my grandmother used to send me to the store for stuff, and I would go to the store and I'd like, and then like I'd ask her if I could, keep $1 or $2 from the change so that I could then run to the arcade machine. Like I any reason to go to that corner store, and then there used to be a couple arcades around town. And when I got older, like I found my way there, whether I had to ride my bike or catch the city bus or whatever. So we went ahead and downloaded and installed a couple themes already. So as you see, we have a couple. We have an AI one, we have an animatics one, and then we have this theme reload. Now I really like the theme reload one, and then I think there was one that I just looked at that I said I'll probably download. Actually, there's two. I'm gonna grab this one, and I'm gonna grab this one, and I'll probably grab this one. All right, so those are gonna download as well. It's probably gonna take a little bit. Same thing. Check for updates, stable update, start update. We've been through all that before. System settings. Again, you want to double check your system settings. You want to make sure everything is good here. Like I said, you want to make sure your video mode. I have it set to the maximum setting. You can choose to do whatever you want. If you have it set to auto, then it's going to try to figure out what's best. Most systems you'll see, actually, I'll show you what it looks like. I'll leave this here. So you'll see the difference. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll back out of here. And now just to be on the safe side, we'll update our games list again. Oh, crap. I forgot. We're not supposed to do that. Again, I'm still getting used to Biosera. I didn't use Biosera before. So and all right, so we'll back out of there. So now we want to go ahead and let's go ahead and change our theme. So we'll go to the user interface setting and let's take a look at what we have so far. So we have our reload theme. It looks like our art book theme downloaded. So let's take a look at that one. So when we back out, you'll see here now all of a sudden it changed, right? And as you can see, it kind of gives you a quick example of what they looked like before. or what these systems look like. And now let's pick here. Let's pick here, and then you'll see there's GoldenEye, there's 1080 Snowboard. So as you can see, it already looks a lot better and a lot different than what it looked like in the previous build. So we have Banjo and Kazooie, then we have Banjo Tooie. Conker's Bad Fur Day. Let me tell you guys something about Conker's Bad Fur Day. Conker's Bad Fur Day. I totally recommend Conker's Bad Fur Day. It is not for kids. Conker's Bad Fur Day is not for kids. Okay? Like seriously. There's like the game modes and stuff in it, the language, the jokes. Like Conker's Bad Fur Day was like an adult themed game with cute cuddly characters, or Conker, as you can see. You can get drunk in the game. Like it was crazy. Cruise, we have Cruise and Exotica. So again, this is the Super Nintendo system. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the Nintendo 64. This isn't the Super Nintendo. Oh, and as you can see, I have the wrong game. I have a game in the wrong place, and as you can see, it doesn't work. Okay, so now let's look at some of our Super Nintendo games. So 2020 Super Baseball. As you can see, there's some duplicates going on here. Here's a Japanese style RPG. And like I said, as you can also see, it does not, it doesn't find all the games. But again, this is why things like ScraperDB, it does have a lot. Here's the old Nintendo, so 10-Yard Fight. Duck, oh, no problem. Appreciate it. So there's a ton of different games. A ton of different games. Like I said before, just be careful that you're not, make sure you're downloading games that you own and are from reputable sources. Like I said, I can't tell you where to go, but oh, there goes that cough again. Google. All right, so there's so many games to choose from. PC Engine, let's see. Atari 7800, so Ace of Aces. Alien Brigade, Asteroid. Let's see. Basket Brawl. Who remembers Basket Brawl? Centipede. Commando. I remember Commando, so I know I'm showing my age a little bit here, but there's so many, so many. Dig Dug, the original Donkey Kong. Then there was Donkey Kong Jr. Like I said, there's the original Double Dragon. I mean, there were so many things here. Let me see. Ikari Warriors. I played. Me and my older brother used to play this all the time. Looking for Kung Fu Master. I used to love that one too. The Mario Brothers for the Atari system. The Ninja Gaiden, I believe Ninja Gaiden. Let me see. Miss Pac-Man. My Jordan versus Bird one-on-one basketball. Well, this is one-on-one basketball. This was Dr. J and Larry Bird. So this wasn't even Jordan versus Bird. Pole position. Like I show my kids some of these games and they're like, how are you able to play this? And we're like, man, listen, when these came out, these graphics were amazing. when these came out, right? So you had the Atari, and then the Nintendo, and then the Nintendo. Then when we got to the Nintendo, it was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And then I remember when we started getting to the Super Nintendo. Wait, hold on. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Here, let's see. Oh, there's your bad dudes for the NES. And as you can see, there's several copies of them because they might be the US version, the Europe version, and then the Japanese version. Um, Ninja Gaiden. All right, let's see if we can scroll quickly. I believe I believe it's in this list because this is my personal list of ROMs, and I believe Ninja Gaiden is on here. Mega Man, Mega Man 3, even though it's not loading right now. But the Mega Man 3 is by far like my favorite. Even I mean, Mega Man 2 and 3, like the music, like for the longest, the Proto Man song and Mega Man 3 with like the whistle, like that was my ringtone. Let's see, Mickey Mouse, Micro Machines. I remember that. All right, Mike Tyson. So look, here we go. Here's one that people don't necessarily know about. Mike Tyson's Intergalactic Power Punch. Not too many people know about this one here. So this one you actually played as Mike Tyson, and you played against aliens, like monsters. And then there was and this was Power Punch 2, and then Mike Tyson's Punch Out, the original one. And then I think I have the Punch Out one that they did after, Mike Tyson got in trouble, and they switched it from him being the last boss to, was it Mr. Sandman? I think it was Mr. Sandman. All right, here we go. New Ghostbusters, NFL. There you go. There you go, Ty. There's your Ninja Gaiden. I was about to say I knew it was here, and then episode 2, Ninja Gaiden 3. So I knew they were here. I just couldn't remember. Like I said, but again, this is my list. Operation Wolf. This was like like this was our first person shooter. So yeah, like I said, we got a bunch of different stuff here. We're still downloading. So Arrow the Acrobat. So now we have, like I said, so we have our games, we have our skins. We're still downloading some other ones. Let's check out. Let's go ahead and check out some other themes, right? So let's go back and go into our user interface, and now let's change our theme set to the animatics, and then we back out. And now look, this one actually, I think this one includes some other cool stuff here. So let's look at our Sega drive. Oh no, those are still scraping. Let's look at our Sega. Let's look at Sega Dreamcast. If it will let me go to Sega Dreamcast. So Sega Dreamcast, we don't have many games. We have Crazy Taxi 2. We have Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We have Ready to Rumble, Boxing, Spawn and the Demon's Hand. This one was one that a lot of people didn't know about either. Street Fighter Alpha 3, and then Street Fighter 3 Double Impact. So for those who are wondering, well, okay, you have them here, but do they work? It says it's missing a BIOS file, but it does. The BIOS file is there. We went through that and confirmed that. So, oh, actually it doesn't. All right, so let's try. There we go. So if you look here, hey, what is happening? Okay, we're gonna try. We're gonna do Ready to Rumble instead. So if you look on the corners of the system, you'll see it kind of gives you the Dreamcast, like the Dreamcast hardware for the side banners. So let's go ahead and hit. Oops, I didn't hit. Hold on. I didn't like the fact that it was making all that noise. This is weird because I know we did put, unless, oh, I know what the problem probably is, but we're good anyways because this is, yep. So we didn't do we don't have the Japanese BIOS files, but again, it's not a problem. All right. So again, just to kind of show, because I saw some comments about, well, does it work? So we'll show you. Yeah, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear the music, but like I said, everything is. So you have the music, you have the original soundtrack. Sorry, I got quiet. I kind of got in the game real quick. Oh. Come on, man, hurry up. Waiting on you. Ah, all right. So as you can see, it works. Now, if we wanted to back out of here, we would hit our select and we would our hotkey and our start button to get out. Okay, and now okay. So now it's creating a save file. Like again, it thinks it's a super. It does think it's a Sega Dreamcast. But as you can see here, our Marvel vs. Capcom 2 also works. And because it's the first time playing, we don't have all of our characters. Let's see. Let's see if we remember. I probably can't do this on controller right now. Oof. Oof. Hope no one's looking to try to fight me right now. All right, so we know, we got those working. I'm just a little irritated that my other Street Fighters aren't working. Oh, there we go. Okay, no, we don't. All right. So anyway, so as you can see, it's still important that you make sure you have your proper BIOS files and everything in there. So let's see if we can find. 'Cause I know we have. Interesting. All right. So we need to make sure we need to go back and double check our files. But uh, but we made so. But I guess it's again. with it being this the first setup, we'll have to go back and check. Maybe it didn't copy over when we did it before, but like I said, it should be fine. Again, we know where to if we need to find them, but um, the games that do work, and we'll just have to find the proper stuff to make the rest of them work as well. So here you see we have a PlayStation. And again, I'm trying to be quiet while we're doing this, just so you can see. Hopefully, you can hear the that the soundtrack and graphics and the soundtracks and everything work with, along with it. So, all right, so we got that one working. So now, what is this one? All right, so we got some other games here. So this is the Nintendo 64. Why is that? Oh, because we're in the all game section. I was like, why is that showing up over there? And then we have you 2-on-2. So now let's look at some, because I know these are some of my favorites. Like I said, I was a big arcade head. So Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. If anybody remember though that game, Miss Pac-Man, NBA Hang Time, NBA Jam, Pac-Man, Rampage, Run and Gun, Rival Schools. Run and Gun was a favorite game of mine. Samurai Showdown, Spider-Man the video game was also fun. This where you had Hawkeye, Namor, and Black Cat. Again, another Street Fighter Alpha 3, Super Gem Fighter, Tecmo World Soccer, Ninja Turtles. And as you can see, we have a bunch of them because we had the where there's a 2-player one and the 4-player one. And then we have Turtles in Time here. Tetris Plus. Again, I'm a big Tetris as well. WWF WrestleMania. So this is before WWE, but this was the Konami arcade game. And then you have one of my favorite arcade games of all time. If I see this game to this day, I'm throwing a quarter in there and I'm playing. And then we have the 2-player one, the 4-player one, and the 6-player one as well. Then we have X-Men versus Street Fighter, which again was crazy to me the first time I walked into an arcade and saw X-Men versus Street Fighter. Now, like I said, I played X-Men Children of the Atom, but when I first walked in and saw X-Men versus Street Fighter, it was like, wait, what? So, so yeah, so many different games, and like I said, as you can see, it's still scraping. It's partial, and part of that is our fault as well because we just kind of rushed through when we went to fix it again. So, but that's it, honestly. That's really it. After that, there are a couple things you can do, like if you want to like if you want to add your Steam, if you want to add your Steam games to there, there's some videos and stuff online on how to set up your stream account, your Steam account. But I mean, but that's honestly that's pretty much it. We just kind of go through the process. So just to kind of recap, we downloaded Biosera. We downloaded Balina Etcher to be able to install it to a USB. We then booted to the USB, changed the BIOS, booted to that USB so that we could get the initial setup going. We then transferred the Biosera files to the existing hard drive that was in the mini PC so that we could then boot directly to Biosera without that. The one thing that we didn't show is that you would have to go back into the BIOS and change the boot settings again. So we had it set before to boot to the USB, but now you're going to want to go back to the BIOS and change it so that it boots from the hard drive once the Biosera files install on the hard drive. We then went ahead and installed our BIOS and our ROM files. Again, can't show you where to do it. We can show you how to copy them over, but we can't show you how or where to get those files from. Forgive me because I have a cold. Google. But from there, we also set up our Biosera machine to play audio, as well as we mapped our controller. That's one thing we have to do. A couple tips I have to give you. So let's go back into Biosera. So when you go to your controller and Bluetooth settings, when you want to play with more than one person, because you're going to want to do that, you're going to want to make sure you map those controllers. So player one's controller, you see this is our Microsoft Xbox controller. So you want to make sure you get other USB controllers. Now, this is important, and I'm going to make sure I bring myself back on screen. Now, this is important. You want to make sure that you don't have two of the same controller plugged up. Reason being is sometimes Biosera has a hard time differentiating one from the other because they have the similar drivers and everything. So you want to make sure you get different controllers. Now, what we'll do is we'll probably have a controller like this, and then we'll probably get another controller like a PlayStation or an arcade stick. Like I said, we're going to be building out those, so we'll probably do future videos on that. So that's what you want to. So you want to make sure that that's what that you're not using the same type of controller. Okay, and then you want to go into your controller and Bluetooth settings and assign your controllers here. And then the same thing that we did before, if they need to be mapped, you can do that up here in the controller mapping. Now, I know this says you can enable Bluetooth for Bluetooth pairing, but that also is problematic at times. So just get a USB or get a wireless one that has the adapter plugged into the USB. So that's one of the last things I think you would want. You want to make sure you do. If I'm forgetting anything, I will make update videos. I'm pretty sure I'm going to make another video that looks a lot better and runs a lot smoother than what we did here. Probably get rid of some of the dead spots and things like that. But like I said, you want to just make sure that everything is set to how you want it. At the end of the day, this is your retro machine. Um, and have fun with it. Have fun with the process. So with that, I think, like I said, we're all set here. We're gonna go ahead and continue to these um, let these other games scrape. As you can see, we're going through the process of scraping some of them and giving us that information. Oh, wait a minute. I went through this whole thing. I know. I just know. There we are. No. No. Wait a what? I don't want the Prophet's Guide. Where is Sorry. I guess I got some updating to do, guys. Gotta get my chrono trigger on there. But like I said, again, this is your system. Have fun with it. If you want to, like I said, if you want to see the full thing in action with all the kinks gone and stuff, come to the open house on May 16th. I'm hoping that we'll get the cabinet and arcade stick pieces done and ready to go for that event. But if not, we at least know we have our system and we have our controllers ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and drop off. I hope this was helpful to y'all. I know it's not the cleanest setup or the cleanest video as far as the tutorial. I promise I'll be better, and I promise when that official video comes out, we'll have it there. But that's it for now. We're gonna go ahead and drop and get to some other things that we're working on, and I will see y'all tomorrow. So y'all be safe, have a great night, and take care. Peace out.